that he and Monica hatched an excuse, all made up saying, oh, we knew we were being recorded. It was all fun and games. How much is true? Well, in the end, Clinton confessed to the affair. Impeachment charges filed, never convicted.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. McGuire Moving is silver certified, which means they are great at relocating senior citizens. In fact, McGuire is a household name because McGuire understands the stress involved when moving older adults. So if you or family members need help moving, I highly recommend McGuire Moving, 314-241-0600, 241-0600. Get a free in-home estimate, McGuireMoving.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit STLFenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3 Martini lunch. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there, and big show for you today. Hope you had a great weekend in the heat and beyond. I mean, you think you have it bad. Well, Vic and I were just bitching about cucumbers, how they take over everything. So that's the worst of our problems right now. So he doesn't even grow them anymore. I do, and he's right. So just letting you know. All right. So, well, hey, I'm not going to talk about this much today, but I will tomorrow when Tim Jones is on, as the Freedom Caucus is looking to redistrict or gerrymander, as it is. And I was thinking in the wake of the discussions, I think right now, tentatively, among many conservatives, that's a thumbs down for a variety of reasons. And a lot of us like to have elections running naturally as opposed to that kind of thing. I know the Democrats do it, but sometimes I wonder whether or not, for instance, President Trump in 2024 flipped so many blue areas. That's how he won the election. President Trump is a Republican force that managed to redraw the electoral college map and everything else. I mean, we know how to do this. I'm just trying to figure out why we have to do it relatively artificially, which is confusing to me. And I'm trying to think, well, maybe we ought to just take the Trump model and invade these areas the way we did in so many occasions and on so many occasions throughout the 2024 election. We stole so many Democrat districts. I know some of them might have still voted for a Democrat congressman, but still voted for Donald Trump. Let's try to see if we could find out what is in that recipe. I think we know. And I'm wondering whether we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves and giving up too easily and trying to push buttons as it relates to voting and districts and that kind of thing, instead of actually doing the kind of grassroots work that was so successful in 2024. That's That's basically my opinion about it. I will have Tim on the show tomorrow because he's very busy, and we'll talk more about that. But I know that's on a lot of people's minds. Just kind of wanted to give you a headline of what I thought about it initially, and that would be that we just do what we did in 2024 with the confidence with which we did it in 2024 and work for it. Because we could do this because we already did it. So whether or not you can really flip a Jackson County district or whatever, but we can. I mean, I'm thinking that maybe we ought to at least try that before we get into all of the other stuff. We could also possibly have Democrats spayed and neutered. We could promote that kind of idea, and maybe that takes a longer time, but we could possibly do that. One of the biggest stories involves chocolate, as far as I'm concerned. Learned a couple of things over the weekend, and one thing I did not know is that Bissinger's chocolate is based in St. Louis. Many of you probably already knew that, but I did not. And you all know what happened when President Trump imposed the tariffs, and there was all these folks saying the sky will be falling and that we're going to be in deep trouble and everything else. There has been zero evidence of that happening. So I hope you took notes from individuals. Now, we did talk to Stephen Moore, who's a great guy, and he is a tariff skeptic. But even he said, if you do it right, then it works. And maybe the problem before, and I asked Stephen about maybe what broke the model when it comes to your scientific views of tariffs. And he said, well, it's in the way that President Trump managed it. So we basically had a deal worker in there who managed it well and put a few threats planted in the minds of these people if there were any kind of retaliatory moves, and then got the deal done, which is why it's great to have a deal maker in office. But there's not one example of the tariffs causing anything that looks like a long-term problem for manufacturing companies beyond. So I'm hoping that you took notes from the individuals who told you that it was going to be terrible, particularly the ones you pay attention to, which would be conservatives, and just remember they were wrong. And this is a great story, actually. This is, in terms of ways in which it affects you immediately. This was in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch over the weekend. Bissinger's handcrafted chocolatier is gearing up for a national retail expansion, pitching 10 new stores across the country. That means jobs for people, of course. And it's doing it even as chocolate costs rise. Tariffs fluctuate, cocoa supplies shrink, and candy makers across the globe raise prices, all of which makes the market finances uncertain. But Bissinger's isn't backing down. The high-end St. Louis-based candy maker, along with other local chocolatiers, are confident that consumers remain willing to splurge on sweets. That is a very important note there, that last paragraph. And I know, Ashlyn, you were in Chicago. There is a Bissinger's in Chicago that everybody flocks to. I mean, there are lines around the corner at Bissinger's, which proves that if you have a good product and you have strong enough marketing and a strong enough desire, then these kinds of impacts or potential impacts on your business can be overcome. And so Bissinger's can see the lines. They can see the people who want their product. And sometimes, again, I wonder whether or not there's almost kind of a symmetry with this attempt to redistrict and gerrymander, is that you're kind of underplaying the desire for you. So, and I love these Freedom Caucus guys. I've always supported them, but what I'm saying is you're underplaying the potential attraction to a message that has already been proven to be successful in elections. 2024 was a groundbreaking moment in Republican electoral history. President Trump gaining more Republican votes than any president in the history of the country. I'm talking about any Republican. So don't forget, you don't have to give up and start to kind of manufacture balance and all this kind of stuff when you already have a proven brand that you can promote. And you can work hard to make sure people stay with it and stick with it. And I guarantee you, as we see so many great results from President Trump's economic proposals and his initiatives, people are going to remember those, including Democrats. I talked to a guy who has a grocery store here, Freddy's Market, Larry and the gang, and they said, well, you know, we're in a mixed area, Webster Groves, and there are many people who are of mixed political proclivities, but I'm noticing that even people who I know are Democrats, because they gave me all kinds of trouble when I had a maskless policy and all that kind of stuff back in the days during COVID, they're happy with the prices. They're buying more. Similarly, Bissinger's knows it has a good brand. It knows it has a fine brand. I really don't eat that stuff, but people do love it. I mean, look at this company called Seven Brew. Have you seen the lines at this place? And it's not just coffee. My teenage girls love it because they can get these pink drinks and blue drinks and whatever it is. I don't even know what Seven Brew does in terms of making it so attractive, but it has so many different kinds of products and great ways to make you happy that they can't stop selling this stuff. They're printing money at Seven Brew because they have a good brand. I'll never forget when I went to Powder Monkey to get those fireworks, and there was some issue there, so I had to go to some other place, and it was in this parking lot where there is a Seven Brew. I didn't see that, got my fireworks, was leaving the parking lot, and the line was a quarter of a mile long at Seven Brew. A quarter of a mile long. And you got to know Seven Brew has ingredients that all the witch hunters and the scary people were telling you were going to be affected by the tariffs, but they have no problem at all. I was wondering what it was at first because I didn't know, like, what are these people waiting for here? What's free or what is it? It turned out it's a Seven Brew. I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, everybody loves Seven Brew. And again, similarly, Bissinger's has a great brand, a great product that they know people love. And so good business people overcome whatever it is that might be causing a little bit of an uptick in their raw good prices because they know that with a good enough brand and a badass enough brand that consumers will be willing to pay the extra 10 cents or 20 cents or whatever it might be for a pink drink. So that's really good news and very, very consequential. And one of my favorite stories of the day because it is so illustrative of really what's going on in this country. And that is an uptick in prosperity, an increase in American jobs. We've got lower taxes coming. We've got more receipts coming in because people are spending more money. So it's a great story all around. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up, this guy is a college buddy of mine, but he's a great investigative reporter. And he is working on this January 6th subcommittee. He and I were one of the first to expose the Ashley Babbitt murder and the details around that. And so he's going to be on with me in just a couple of minutes. And then later on, Christina Bobb, who was the lawyer for President Trump at the time of the Mar-a-Lago raid, she has a new book out called Defiant, and she's got some juicy tidbits about what was going on there. in the real at Mar-a-Lago. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy Monday and happy first martini on the 3 Martini Lunch.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, always love talking about Window World because Window World not only is a proud sponsor of free common sense conservative radio, they also have the best windows in the world. Good housekeeping, seal of approval. You've got Qualified Remodeler Magazine acknowledging they're the number one seller of windows across the country, including in St. Louis. They have a lifetime warranty on everything involved. So you don't have to worry about parts, glass breakage, or labor. It is simply the best for less, the Window World window. 314-993-1800, the preferred window also of the St. Louis Blues. So get on it while you can. They have financing plans available for you. Especially these financing plans are great because they are going to give you a great option when it comes to doing a whole house window project. So that's going to be fantastic for you. Window World, simply the best for less, proud sponsors of News Talk and Common Sense Radio. I'm super proud to have these celebrities in the world of windows as a partner in delivering to you free Common Sense Radio. 314-993-1800.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
It's one of baseball's fiercest rivalries, the Cubs versus the Cardinals, and the action returns to Busch Stadium the weekend of August 8th through the 10th. Feel the heat, the history, and the excitement as these two legendary teams battle it out under the summer lights. 3 big games, 2 historic teams, 1 electric atmosphere you won't want to miss. Great seats remain. Secure yours today at Cardinals.com.
This is Wilson Contreras, San Luis Cardinals, for the Loop.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game, it's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands, because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song.
News Talk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at HammondInstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. They keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Do I stress you out?
Yes, you do, Alanis. You always scare me. I always think Alanis Morrison is talking to me. My guilty conscience, I guess. I always feel that when she's singing, I'm looking at her, and she's standing there, and she's got a knife behind her back. It's that, but I still love her music anyway. Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, privileged to be with you, and really super privileged to have, well, an old friend with me right now. And I knew Joe back when we were 19, 20 years old, 18 maybe even, working for the conservative newspaper at the very excruciatingly liberal University of Madison, Wisconsin. It's called the Badger Herald. Joe, even at that young age, was a rock star reporter and a great investigative reporter, and was ballsy and great at what he did, and continued on through his career as a top-notch investigative reporter. Oddly enough, Joe Hanneman and I were reunited through Aaron Babbitt, the husband of Ashley Babbitt. Joe and I were simultaneously working on the story of Ashley Babbitt's murder, getting down to the details, the true details of what really happened to her. And that's where I actually met up with Joe just via text and phone, because Aaron said, "Hey, by the way, I think I know a guy who used to be like Joe Hanneman." I'm like, Joe Hanneman? It's crazy. As sad as the story has been, we're slowly but surely getting to the bottom of it, and also to what really happened on January 6th. And so Joe now is covering not only the continuation of the Ashley Babbitt story, but also the January 6th subcommittee. And he's got some great information for us. And Joe Hanneman, first of all, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Jamie. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's always good to have you on. I'm glad you're doing so well. So I guess first off, tell me about what is going on with this January 6th Select Subcommittee. And you've been doing some interviews already about what you have learned about how things are going to go, or what's going to be going on. What is the latest on that?
Well, it's something I actually didn't think was going to take place, because here we are almost 8 months into the year, and there has been no, at least up until last week, no January 6th committee appointed by Speaker Johnson. And, we now find out there was a lot of infighting going on, turf battles, and I think there honestly were a lot of GOP Congress people who did not want to see a January 6th investigation. We've so far only had bits and pieces, but President Trump ended up getting involved. He's very interested in making sure that we get the answers that have been missing. So he had a couple of group invites up to the White House and helped smooth over any of the differences. So Barry Loudermilk of Georgia was appointed as the subcommittee chairman. He did a really good job in the last Congress with a very small staff of investigating some January 6th issues. And I think he will do a fine job here too. Hopefully he'll get a much bigger staff because they've lost a lot of time in this Congress, and they got to make up for it.
Yeah, well, and I know that you mentioned some of these GOP Congress people. It's kind of like the way the media has been about the Russia hoax. They were involved in promoting it and extending all the lies. And some of these GOP guys, frankly, even mostly sometimes through their silence, have allowed this lie about this being an insurrection to continue. So it's no wonder they didn't want more of an investigation into really what was going on that day, really what happened. And I think President Trump deserves some vindication. And by your look into the select subcommittee, what kind of information do you think is going to be coming out that will change some minds, or at least blow up some of the lies about it?
Well, I think Ashley Babbitt is going to be at the very top of their list. That is a subject and a very sad case and a crime that has not been thoroughly investigated yet. And Loudermilk's committee did do some work on this in the last Congress, digging into the background of then Lieutenant Michael Byrd, who is the officer who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt at 2:44 p.m. on January 6th. He has an extensive disciplinary history with Capitol Police. Those records have been basically covered up, and Loudermilk was able to unearth some of these things, and negligence with a weapon, deserting a post to go play cards at the Capitol, just all sorts of things that just don't look good. And then the reality that the Democrats under Nancy Pelosi were really giving him favorable treatment, looking to reward him financially, and to keep his name out of the public in the 6 or 7 months after this shooting occurred. So they had just gotten started digging into Michael Byrd when the Congress changed over to the 119th Congress. So they'll have to pick back up where they left off. But I know they were not getting cooperation out of the Capitol Police under its now former chief, Tom Manger. So they have a new chief that just came in, and hopefully he will take Congress a little more seriously, and they can dig into Michael Byrd a little more than they did before.
Yeah, so this could also be somewhat of a vindication for Ashley Babbitt. I think that she deserves it. Her family certainly deserves it. And the way in which they covered this up, and the whole construct of the Capitol Police anyway is so unusual and probably should be changed. I'm not quite sure whether there is an enthusiasm to do that. But right now, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, this was the story back in that day, that the Capitol Police is basically immune from Freedom of Information Act requests. Is that correct?
That's true. They are a creation of Congress, and Congress, of course, exempts itself from most regulations. And so as a legislative created entity, they are not bound by the Freedom of Information Act. It's another thing I hope Congress will change, but at the very least, I think Barry Loudermilk can use the power of the subpoena very effectively, which he did not have in the last Congress. And so Capitol Police just absolutely, they did what they do with us media people that dare ask questions. They ignore it, and they don't respond. So, but a subpoena will be different. You get called in front of a committee and you get subpoenaed for documents that will tend to get a lot more attention than just asking nicely.
Yeah. And also, I remember January 5th. I'll never forget this. I was watching a report on NBC News, and the reporter was unusually foreshadowing the threat or possibility of violence. And I'm thinking, how do they know that, first of all? And what is that all about? Then it turns out there are all kinds of machinations, including whether or not the National Guard was going to be called out. Nancy Pelosi had something to do with some of the ways in which they could have responded, whatever. And then you get into more of a possibility that this was actually in some ways a setup, that these individuals ultimately, in an odd kind of way, were kettled in. And then the people, somebody behind them was pushing them, all those kinds of things. Do you think the select committee will be able to get to the bottom of some of the communications and everything else that happened prior to the actual demonstrations?
I certainly hope so. I mean, one of the other people who I think deserves vindication on that day is Steve Sund, the former Capitol Police chief, who really did heroic work behind the scenes ahead of that event, trying to make sure that he had National Guard backup, because they had some indication, although a lot of the intelligence gathered by his own department was not shared with him, which is kind of a controversy all to itself. But he knew that he might need some help that day, and he went and sought it, and he was turned down cold by the Sergeant at Arms in the House and the Senate, and those are controlled by the Speaker and the Majority Leader. And so he was really cut off at the knees. And then ever since then, the Democrats have lied about it and say, you never asked for help, and Trump never asked for help. He never authorized. And the truth is, he did. He authorized 20,000 National Guard troops for use on January 6th in D.C. or really anywhere else. And that's a story that gets distorted all the time. And Steve Sund, almost literally in tears, looking for the to help from the Pentagon, and he eventually had to use their mutual aid. And the New Jersey State Police arrived at the Capitol to help before the National Guard from the D.C. Armory was allowed to set foot on the grounds. And if that's not a scandal, I don't know what is.
No doubt about it. And I'm not quite sure what the rules are. I mean, you know how a lot of these individuals protect each other in Congress there. But would the select committee investigate the operations of the actual January 6th committee that everybody talks about? Are they able to review what the January 6th committee was up to?
In fact, that's going to be part of their charge. It was also part of the charge of Loudermilk's subcommittee in the last Congress, is to pick up where this other group left off, and in this case, to find out what became of the evidence that they gathered, because a fair chunk of it has disappeared, and I know Loudermilk believes was destroyed. We know there were recordings that are missing, video recordings of interviews done with various witnesses. Transcripts are missing, which is a crime. I don't know if they know or can find out who eliminated that evidence, but they're basically having to go back and recreate it and redo interviews, and they can't compare to what they told the first group because a lot of that those documents are gone. And that's another scandal that I know they've touched on, and it's such a big mountain that he's got to climb on this topic. I'm sure he could use double whatever staff that the speaker is giving him.
Yeah, and I know that January 6th committee also failed to show when they were parading the video around. I mean, this was a kangaroo court for sure, but they didn't show a lot of the video that we actually saw that seemingly is now hard to find on the internet. And that is the video of Capitol Police letting people into the Capitol.
Yeah, and there was also incidents of the Metropolitan Police Department, which came onto Capitol grounds at the request of Steve Son to back them up. And some of these officers were incredulous. They were told to back off one of the side entrances on the upper terrace of the Capitol. And for 12 minutes, the entrance was unguarded and people just streamed in. And I know there's some body cam footage that shows them, I can't believe they're letting this happen. And so there were officers that were astounded at that. And so, those are all anomalies, unusual characteristics of the day that I don't think we have the full explanation for. So they're going to have a whole lot of things to do.
No doubt about it. Joe Hanneman, investigative reporter, is, folks, the only national reporter covering this and trying to get to the bottom of what really happened on January 6th. And yeah, there might be some coverage of the actual select committee meetings and that kind of thing, but nobody is more detailed and has better sources than Joe Hanneman. So I would encourage you to stay on top of what he is doing in his coverage. And Joe, how can we do that?
You can follow my work at The Blaze. It's theblaze.com. And look for articles there. Every few days, you'll find something new.
No doubt about it, buddy. Listen, proud to know you. Thank you for all the work you're doing on behalf of all of us and indeed this country and indeed the truth. It's great to have you on again, buddy. We'll keep in touch.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie.
All right. And that is Joe Hanneman. Look him up. Hanneman, Hanneman at theblaze.com. And I'm telling you, that's the only place you're going to find any information about what's really going on. So is Marco Rubio really going to challenge J.D. Vance? And, man, J.D. Vance played some really great games with this reporter over what looks like a racist beating of white people in Cincinnati. Not quite sure you've heard of that story, but JD had, and he corrected this reporter in a monumental way. We'll follow up on all that. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Jordan over at Stewart's American Mortgage, Stewie'sAMC.com, just helped me out with yet another real estate deal. I love this guy. I love the confidence that I am able to provide to my buyers because I am a real estate agent with the Walner Home Selling Team, as you all know, 314-810-SOLD. But if you Google the bagel loan, you will see exactly what they can offer you. And I'm talking about minimal to no closing costs. Their fees are absolutely almost nothing. I had one buyer who was comparing lenders, and they were giving him credits for this, credits for that. But at the same time, I told them, I said, but Jordan is maybe not in the form of not giving you credits at the rate that they're giving you, but their fees are higher. And so it's all balancing out to the point where you're even still paying more compared to what Jordan can do for you as a home buyer and what the bagel loan will do for you as a lending opportunity. That bagel, of course, Stewie's from Brooklyn, so the bagel is the thing, but it's really kind of a zero. And that's what we're talking about here. Some people charge you up to $300 for a credit pull. That doesn't happen at Stewart's American Mortgage. So you can be sure as a home buyer that you're going to be great. Don't forget, debt consolidation is super easy. It's really a great thing for you. And Stewart, as well as Jordan, can make this happen for you at the lowest cost imaginable with more money in your pocket. Same thing with the refis. A lot of people are afraid to refi because of the rates, but in reality, the way they do it, it's not going to be the painfulness that you actually think that you're going to have. So all you have to do is ask them, and they'll tell you everything. And listen, Jordan says, if I can't be beaten, I'll tell them. I mean, I'll tell them. I'm not trying to pull any fast ones here. And so Jordan will be there for you. Google the bagel loan, give them a call, and tell them that Jamie Allman sent you. Proud sponsors of free Common Sense Conservative Radio.
Experience the true flavors of Mexico at Dos Primos, O'Fallon's premier Mexican restaurant. From sizzling fajitas to homemade caldo de pollo, every dish is crafted with the freshest ingredients and traditional recipes, all made fresh daily in our kitchen. Cool down with our famous margaritas or your favorite cerveza, while our friendly staff makes you feel like family. Dine in or carry out. Visit DosPrimosMexicanRestaurant.com or find us on North Main in O'Fallon.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
I know what you have been doing, you health nuts. You eat eggs, don't you? Yeah, but you separate the yolk from the eggs, don't you? Just only egg whites and broccoli. That's all I'm going to do. And you cut down on your drinking, you stop smoking and everything else. And of course, because you want to be around to hang out with the grandchildren and everything else. I'm not sure about that yolk thing. The jury's still out on that science, but I will tell you that you health nuts are living longer. And that means when you retire, you're going to live longer past your retirement. If you live longer past your retirement, are you going to be okay with how you have fortified your little nest egg? Gemini Wealth Group, the GeminiWealthGroup.com will help you make sure that you are set for your retirement, especially if you're living 20, 30 years after your retirement. The last thing you want to do is start to check the folds of the couch for extra change because you're like, can't afford to live. You just need to make sure it happens. So are you properly diversified? Did you put enough money in? Is there a way to go ahead and strengthen that portfolio now, just as you're retiring, or maybe right before you retire, to make sure it's working for you. Are you calculating your tax liabilities, your health liabilities, all that kind of thing? That's what Jeff Portman and the Gemini Wealth Group will do for you. All you have to do is contact Jeff Portman directly, even at 314-888-0123, or go to the GeminiWealthGroup.com. And if you are newly retired, maybe you're 1 to 2 years in, and I'm telling you a few things that you haven't heard before, that probably means you need a second opinion, and nobody is going to be better at it than the Gemini Wealth Group. The GeminiWealthGroup.com, or Jeff Portman directly at 314-888-0123.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
I just want you close, where you can stay forever.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, 101.9, 94.1, and streaming all the time. So I get to see Natalie for the first time in a couple of weeks. She comes home from Ghana this afternoon, and I'm really, really super excited to see her, and was sad to leave. So it's going to be one of those things, but she's a sweetheart, and happy that she's made it to Charlotte, going through customs and on her way home, and we'll see her soon. So I went and ordered a Ghana flag off of Amazon, and I'm going to take it to the airport and wave it around when she comes in. Probably going to embarrass her, though. But then I had this second thought, because I was looking at the flag, and it's red, green, and yellow. And I was thinking, and I ran this by my buddy Rodney Wallner at our meeting this morning, and I said, is this like a Palestinian flag? Because I'm pretty sure the Palestinian flag is like red, green, and white, I think. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want people to think I'm waving around a Palestinian flag. Free Palestine! I was like, I hope that's not the case. Hey, Allman, is that you waving around No, it's a flag from Ghana, people. So, if you're at the airport this afternoon and you see me waving the flag, that's a flag from Ghana, not Palestine. Just letting everybody know, just in case. Don't want to be one of them. All right. You saw the video, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, over the weekend, of this vicious beating of a white couple at the hands of a bunch of black people who were stomping on their heads and kicking them and knocked the woman unconscious, and it was really hard to watch. It was very, very difficult. It was a mob of black people beating this white couple. And don't know what the circumstances were. Apparently there were some words exchanged. I don't know beforehand. But whatever it was, the vicious beating is not going unnoticed by even J.D. Vance. This happened in Cincinnati. And of course, that is J.D. Vance's territory. And what's curious about all this, and you'll notice the way the reporter asked the question. This is why J.D. Vance is so much smarter than so many other people out there, and is certainly smarter than the media. So you'll notice the way the reporter asks J.D. Vance about what happened in Cincinnati. And you'll notice how he is saying, a fight? What are you talking about? Because it wasn't a fight. It was a beatdown. But you'll notice how J.D. Vance deftly plays this reporter and gets at the truth. And here's how it went.
Street fight and what concerns.
So
street fight and what concerns.
So she called it a street fight. So JD Vance is going to be a little coy here, and you'll see.
About that, given that that's your home city.
You said a street fight in Cincinnati? I have not seen this. Sorry, give me a little more background, Haley. I'm not sure about this.
I mean, this is great because he knows it wasn't a street fight. And he's making her describe it because she lied about what it was, because that's the way the media looks at it's just a street fight, a fracas. Mm-hmm.
There was a group of people who attacked a couple folks on the street in Cincinnati.
Yep, there you go. Just a group of people attacking a couple of folks. You mean a group of black people attacking a white couple, dear?
Senator Bernie Moreno, some others have spoken out about it, have been critical of it.
Okay, yes. So what I saw, and I haven't seen the full context, but what I saw is a mob of lawless thugs beating up on an innocent person, and it's disgusting. And I hope every single one of those people who engage in violence is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And they will be. They will be so long as law enforcement in the state of Ohio takes their job seriously. I know Dave Yost cares a lot about these things. But yeah, I actually, you're right. Bernie did send me a clip of this, and we talked a little bit about it. I don't know the full context. I don't know how the fight started. But the one part that I saw that was really gruesome is you had a grown man who sucker punched a middle-aged woman. And where I come from, at least, when you have a grown man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time. And frankly, he's lucky there weren't some better people around, because they would have handled it themselves. But if they're not going to handle it, the cops in Cincinnati, the law enforcement, you've got to prosecute people. We've had way too much lawlessness on the streets of great American cities. How many of you all have wanted to go to downtown Akron or downtown Canton or downtown Columbus for a meal, but you're worried because the local authorities in these big cities have allowed lawlessness to run wild?
And maybe it would be a good start if the media didn't sugarcoat what actually happened. And sugarcoating is probably not the proper word for it. They're lying about what really happened because they saw the video. So they call it a street fight. It's just a group of people who are attacking a couple of folks. Now, the sooner the news media starts to tell the truth about what's really happening, the better off everybody's going to be. And it's great that we have an advocate for the truth and a person who doesn't shy away from that or doesn't gloss it over or do whatever or ignore it. And there's every indication that as long as JD Vance has a say in this, it'll be a different scenario than the scenarios we've seen on and on and on in the past, where people are just committing these crimes with impunity and the media is glossing it over. Meanwhile, the news media is trying to drum up this idea somehow that Marco Rubio eventually is going to challenge JD Vance, because anything to try to cause some level of division within the Trump administration, the cabinet, is great for them. And check out Marco Rubio. He didn't necessarily, they say he didn't rule it out, but listen to what he says about JD Vance.
Final question. You just brought up your run in 2016 for president. You are talked about quite frequently as a possible contender in 2028. Do you have your sights set outside of the State Department?
Well, I think JD Vance would be a great nominee. And if, I think if he decides he wants to do that. And so,
So by the way, how is that turning into a headline that Marco Rubio is not ruling out a run against JD Vance?
I think he's doing a great job as vice president. He's a close friend, and I hope he intends to do it. I know it's kind of early, but being in the role that I'm in here at the Secretary of State, I really don't play in politics. There's actually rules against me being involved in domestic politics. And I want to do this job as long as the president allows me to do it and stay in that job, which would keep me here all the way through, January of 2028. I feel, honestly, you never know what the future holds. You never rule things out or anything, because you just don't know. Things change very quickly. But that said, I believe that if I am able to be here, through the duration of this presidency, and we get things done at the pace that we've been doing the last 6 months, I'll be able to look back at my time in public service and say, I made a difference, I had an impact, and I served my country in a very positive way.
Yeah. So anyway, you heard him say you don't rule out anything, but they weren't talking about him challenging JD Vance as the sitting vice president and potential candidate for 2028 presidency. He was talking about, well, if J.D. Vance decides not to run, I'm not ruling out anything getting back in politics, whatever, but I hope he intends to run. I'm not quite sure how that can be any more clearer to people. And so, yeah, the liberal press and everybody else, they're trying to have some fun with just simply creating division, but it's not happening. I thought Rubio answered that question quite beautifully. All right. You know, the Mar-a-Lago raid, Devin Nunes over the weekend was indicating that the Mar-a-Lago raid is directly tied, or in some cases, to the Russia hoax. Nobody better to answer that question than President Trump's lawyer at the time. She's the great Christina Bobb. You've probably seen her before. She's amazing. She has a new book out called Defiant. And so Christina, I've been on actually OAN with her when she had the show a long, long time ago. She had a show there. She's no longer there, but she's doing great work. And there's a lot in this book that Christina Bobb will be revealing. She won't reveal it all here on the show because she wants you to get the book, but you know, you get the drift. So the great Christina Bobb is straight ahead here. Time for that second martini. Come on, people. Drink up. This is Common Sense Radio and the Allman Report.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Don't miss the big DeSoto Gun Show, August 10th and 11th at the Knights of Columbus Hall in DeSoto, Missouri. Over 450 tables of pistols, handguns, rifles, long guns, shotguns, ammo, and more. The fun starts Saturday, August 10th at 9 a.m. and continues all weekend. Admission just $10 and good for the entire weekend. 12 and under, get in free with discounts for veterans and first responders. The big DeSoto Gun Show at the DeSoto, Missouri Knights of Columbus Hall the weekend of August 10th. More info at bkeypromotions.us.
Back pain? Follow me to Esquire Sports Medicine, where they've got your back. Esquire is the oldest sports medicine clinic in St. Louis. Dr. Draghi and his team of chiropractors can get you back to work, back to life without the pain. New patients usually scheduled within 24 hours. 314-644-0885. 644-0885. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Beat the summer heat with Johnson Heating and Cooling, your trusted local family business. We specialize in residential air conditioning service, furnace and AC replacement, new construction, finished basements, room additions, and energy-efficient geothermal systems. At Johnson Heating and Cooling, our motto is simple. We treat our customers like we want to be treated, with complete transparency and honesty. Call 636-332-4141. That's 636-332-4141.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. An oil industry expert says President Trump's new trade deal with the European Union is also a big win for U.S. energy producers and a setback for Russia and its war against Ukraine. Bob Agnew with a report.
Daniel Turner, founder and executive director of Power the Future, says it's not just a better deal, but just a complete 180 from the previous administration. He says under President Biden, the U.S. wasn't selling much energy to the EU, leaving them to buy it from Russia and fueling Moscow's war machine, but no more.
They're saying, all right, we're going to sell our energy and you're going to buy it. And that means you're going to stop buying energy from Russia, which is fueling their war against Ukraine.
Turner spoke with the Salem Radio Network about the new trade deal the president achieved with the EU over the weekend. Bob Agnew report.
And President Trump announces a new shorter deadline for Russian President Putin to to reach a deal to end the war in Ukraine. The president will now give Putin 10 to 12 days from Monday. That means he wants peace efforts to make progress by October 7th and 9th. Police say multiple people have been shot at a casino in Reno, Nevada. A suspect is in custody. Also at townhall.com, authorities will file terrorism and assault with intent to murder charges against the suspect in a weekend knife attack at a Walmart store in Michigan. 11 people were stabbed at the store in Traverse City. Grand Traverse County Sheriff Michael Shea.
The suspect is a 42-year-old male. We believe he acted alone at this time. There is no information indicating there were additional suspects. It appears that these were all random acts. The weapon appears to be a folding knife.
That audio courtesy of Traverse City Record Eagle, Scott Harmsen. More at townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia. I got a tour of their headquarters. I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The heat is on, but the clock is ticking. If we can get through Wednesday, there is much cooler and less humid air waiting for us later this week. Not this afternoon or this evening, though. The heat index popping to near 110 with just a slight chance of a spot storm. We won't drop into the 80s until almost bedtime tonight, and then 80 for the overnight low. 99 tomorrow under mostly sunny skies, but the top heat index near 111 tomorrow afternoon. One more hot day Wednesday before we see that drop Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Would you like to win a full season of mosquito and tick protection? Tim Jones here, the new Mosquito Nix team in St. Louis, celebrating their launch with a bite-free backyard sweepstakes. One lucky family will get their entire yard protected. 10 others will get a free fogging treatment just for entering. Call 636-698-1980 now to enter. 636-698-1980. Keep your yard safe and your summer itch-free. Service area restrictions do apply. Mosquito Nix offers permanent, automatic mosquito and tick protection. It's not just fogging, it's real coverage you don't have to think about. They've already helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Visit mosquitonix.com to learn more. That's mosquitonix.com, 636-698-1980 to enter the backyard sweepstakes. Keep your yard safe, your summer bite free, 636-698-1980.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you. And Christina Bobb, I have known her for a while now, back when she was at OAN, and then proceeded to, if she wasn't before, an amazing warrior for the Make America Great Again generation, and a warrior for Donald J. Trump. If you could imagine the kind of grief that she took and the kind of harassment that she underwent as President Trump's attorney, one of them, during the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Well, there's no better title for a book by Christina Bobb than Defiant. And there's a really interesting aspect about that. I'll let her tell you that in terms of who wrote the foreword to this book. Christina Bobb, welcome to the show. How have you been?
Hey, Jamie, it's so great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. This book looks fantastic. Inside the Mar-a-Lago raid and the left's ongoing lawfare, with a foreword by who, my dear?
President Trump himself. Yep. I got the President of the United States to write the foreword.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. I'm not quite sure that's happened before, but I don't know.
I don't think so. Not by a sitting president. So, I'm really honored and thrilled. And it made sense for him to do it because it is my story. It's everything that I went through, but I was on his staff and my story kind of paralleled his in a lot of ways. So it's almost like you get to see the president's story from a different perspective. And so it just made sense that he would want the story out there.
Defiant comes out in September, so you all will be able to get a hold of that lickety-splickety. And Christina Bobb, the Mar-a-Lago raid, what, as far as you know, and I know you probably talk about this in your book, but what was this about? What was this?
Well, funny you should ask, right? Like Devin Nunes and Wesley Hunt and all of them are now asking about that because of everything that's coming out with Barack Obama. So the timing of this, I could not have planned it better had I known it was going to happen. But there most definitely was an ulterior motive for the raid. And it's not just that I was at the raid. I was at the raid, but I was the custodian of records for the documents themselves. And so that means I was in the meetings with the Department of Justice and the Trump legal team, before the raid and the back and forth on that. And so I've got text messages and emails in there, but I can tell you, it was not normal. It was very much, they were intending something other than what they were saying. Now, they didn't tell me what that was, so I can't actually make that accusation. And I give you all the information that I've got, and you can come to your own conclusions on it. But yes, this was most definitely a fake criminal case for sure.
Well, on top of that, and I know you were talking before the raid, so the raid remained a surprise.
Yep.
So you were talking to them this whole time, and then suddenly they show up, and you're actually in the driveway at one point, right?
Oh yeah, for the whole thing. Yes, it was a shock to all of us. Like there had been a very cordial relationship, back and forth, whatever they wanted. President Trump himself was very cordial to them. I mean, no reason whatsoever, no reason for them to go to a raid. And then, of course, once the affidavit came out, even though it's a redacted version of the affidavit, once that came out, first thing I did was check to see if DOJ had told the court about all the pre-meetings and everything, how cooperative we had been. And of course, that was conveniently left out of the information sent to the judge to get the warrant. And presumably, or at least what I've heard, is that a lot of the redacted stuff was the information that's now coming out from the Russiagate story. So
right.
That still needs to be confirmed. But who knows what the heck they were relying on? It certainly wasn't anything wrong on our part.
Yeah. Well, and then the raid itself became just the indictment of President Trump. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, well, just because he was raided, he was guilty. And that was just harassment. And on top of that, Joe
100%.
Biden also approved the use of force or deadly force. Is that not
Yeah,
correct?
the use of deadly force. Yes, they did. They authorized that, which was really weird because they knew Secret Service was there. And Merrick Garland came out and said, oh, well, this was just standard operating procedure. Well, when have you ever, what is standard about this? At what other time have you raided a place where there's Secret Service on site, meaning you could get into a shootout with other federal law enforcement? It was incredibly careless and, quite honestly, quite stupid of them to do that. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. But but it was a very stupid thing for them. The whole thing, the raid itself, was very stupid, and that is the conclusion you will come to when you see what happened. I mean, I go through the full 8 hours. I go through weeks before and all that. So it's really interesting for me to see it come full circle right now with everything that they're investigating with Obama and Comey and Clinton and all of them. It all is connected. It's all connected.
And indeed, this will be in the history books at some point because this, just even what you're revealing, ultimately will be there too. And as Devin Nunes indicated over the weekend, with the ties to the Russia hoax. So let's say it was tied to the Russia hoax and Russia Gate. If that were the case, what would they have been looking for? Were they afraid that President Trump had some proof that he was set up here or that it was a lie, or what were they looking for?
Yeah, so that's the big question, right? It's unclear to me if they had a specific target in mind, meaning we want the Russiagate documents or we want, the Crossfire Hurricane documents or whatever it was. But it was clear that the raid itself was the tool, if that makes sense. So whether they were looking for specific documents, personally, I believe that the whole intention of it was to frame Donald Trump. Maybe it was to extract materials. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I do think 100% it was to frame him for something.
Yeah.
That ultimately never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and indeed, even a fishing expedition, if anything. And
well, yeah, I mean, the raid itself is, like you said, it makes them look guilty when they had no probable cause to do the raid in the first place.
Yeah.
So, no, it's horrible what they did. They all deserve to be prosecuted. Not just that they deserve to be prosecuted, they need to be prosecuted. Because, for example, I'm still being prosecuted in Arizona. Now, my indictment's been thrown out, but the Attorney General in Arizona is still trying to prosecute me and Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows and all the electors and everybody else that was involved in the 2020 election for a crime that never occurred. And everybody knows it didn't occur. So the question at this point is not, should we prosecute Comey or Clinton or whoever? The question is, who do you want to prosecute? Do you want to prosecute them or do you want them to prosecute you? Because I can tell you from experience, they will come for you. It might not be this year. It might not be next year. But if you dare to speak out against them, they will come for you. I know it from personal experience. And I tell my story that they are coming after the little people and the media is not covering it. And so people don't even realize how dangerously close we've come to losing our rights.
Wow. And not only it seems the media is not covering it, but it seems like, especially even with the Russia hoax, they're actually partners in the hoaxing.
Yes. 100%. And, we all heard the stories, fake electors. There was nothing fake about it. There was nothing illegal about it. There was nothing immoral even about it. It was not only was there historic precedent, there was actual historic precedent. It was legally required action. Now they've been going after these electors and folks like myself for 3 years now, or almost. I think the first indictment came in 2023 in Michigan, and they still have not established probable cause. How many convictions do they have? None. They had a handful of attorneys in Georgia plead guilty to with unsupervised probation, which is a joke, right? That's not a criminal punishment.
Yeah.
And I think they've got about 60 to 70 people being prosecuted, and they have not had a jury come up with one single conviction. It's disgusting what they're doing. It's an abuse of the criminal justice system. And the only way we can set it straight is to actually prosecute the people who are guilty. The real criminals, the Obamas, the Comeys, the Clintons, the people are, and I have to give them some room there because those are the names that are being thrown out. But obviously, they all need to have probable cause to be indicted, and they're innocent until proven guilty. All of that stuff.
Talking with Christina.
That process needs to take place.
Yeah, Christina Bobb is the author of the brand new book coming out in September called Defiant, with the foreword by President Donald J. Trump, and you expand even a lot of your discussion beyond Mar-a-Lago into the general lawfare that is going on. I know you've touched on it now with you. I gotta understand, by the way, real quickly, why if the indictment's thrown out, how can they still be going after you? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the case hasn't been dismissed. The court has not gone the step further to dismiss the case. They threw out the indictment and said, you didn't have probable cause. This was done improperly. You need to redo it. Rather than normally after that, the court would then dismiss the case. But the attorney general requested a stay, meaning please don't dismiss us. Let us have a chance to fix it. That was done back in May. And so everyone's just sitting on it. Nothing's happening with it. They're leaving us as, pending criminals. She's trying very hard to salvage it. I don't think she'll be able to because she lied to the grand jury. She manufactured evidence. She didn't properly instruct the grand jury. I mean, I can go on and on about the lack of professional misconduct, maybe. But yeah, they're still trying.
No doubt. And I guess back to Mar-a-Lago, when you were in the driveway, did you have what kind of conversations did you have with some of these DOJ guys and the people who were doing the raid? Did they say anything to you?
Yeah. Oh, I had a lot of conversations with them, and they're all in the book. But I wanted to watch them. I wanted to observe what they were doing. They wouldn't let me. They forced me to stay outside in August in Florida. Wouldn't even let me sit anywhere air conditioned. And it was pretty confrontational. I mean, we got to the point where, we kind of figured out our established positions, and I stayed where they would let me, and I'd push back. I would video them and take pictures to kind of document what they were doing. And, they raided the place.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally.
Yeah.
So, we definitely had a lot of heated. I don't know if heated is quite the right word, but there were lots of words exchanged.
Yeah. Well, and then of course this was all very insulting and shocking. And one of the more shocking things that happened too were the fact that the authorities were going through Melania's stuff and her drawers.
Right. They went through the residence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did they?
It's crazy.
They went into her drawer. I mean, I know there's this whole idea of going into her undergarments drawer or whatever.
Right.
They did that.
Well, they wouldn't let me see, right? They made me stay outside. So I didn't see what they were going through, but I do know that they searched the residence and they went through the bedrooms and all of that. So whether they specifically did that or not, I didn't get to see it. But yeah, they absolutely were in there.
That is incredible. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be a blockbuster when it comes out. It's such a great book. And I think historically, this is pretty, I mean, as I said before, to have the sitting president of the United States write a foreword to a book is quite an achievement. And I think, too, it's the understanding also of how much of a warrior you were and still are for President Trump, and how courageous you were in the face of people clearly trying to intimidate you, and even after it, continuing to intimidate you, which is where I guess the defiant comes from.
Yeah, well, I had, just to give people some perspective, I had 8 or 9 legal matters opened up against me in this period of 3 years. Only 2 of them related to Mar-a-Lago. Obviously, the documents case, I was involved in that one. And then I was investigated by the California bar as a result of the Mar-a-Lago documents case, and they found no misconduct. Shockingly, that is a miracle. Just because I think the California bar would love to humiliate any Trump attorney, but no, they did an honest evaluation and said nope, there was no misconduct. So that's great. The other 6 or 7 cases all related to my reporting of the 2020 election. So I had to testify before Congress. I got hauled into the Jack Smith J6 investigation. I got subpoenaed for that. I got subpoenaed by the police officers suing Donald Trump over January 6th, those suing Rudy Giuliani. I mean, I got sucked into so much of the lawfare that I had, not only did I have a front row seat, I was participating in all of it, except for the New York stuff. Everything else I was involved in. And I lay all of that out in the book so you can see exactly what they were looking for, what they were after, the exchanges. And it's really, really ugly. It has to stop. And the only way it will stop is if someone goes to jail, quite frankly. And I don't want it to be me. It's got to be them.
Yeah.
So,
Christina, as you pointed out, I think, one of the big headlines in what you were telling me today is if we do not prosecute these people and punish them, if they obviously are found guilty, if we don't prosecute them, they will. I mean, because terrorists wait forever. They can sit back and wait forever. They will come after us and you and everybody else.
They will. Anybody who dares to oppose them. I mean, there was absolutely no reason for them to try to prosecute these alternate electors or say that the alternate electors were doing anything bad. They knew what they were doing was perfectly legal, but they did it for a headline. I mean, that's how evil and sadistic all of this is. They know they're prosecuting innocent people, and they do it for a headline to try to get people to believe their lies. None of it's true, and I have the receipts, and these people need to be punished.
Absolutely. Christina Bobb, thank you for your diligence and your bravery. Ultimately, this book is a defense of all of us, and I think it's really super important. And it'll be out in September, and we'll obviously, when it comes out, we'll double back with you and talk to you again as well. But thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I appreciate it.
All right. That is Christina Bobb. Man, that's dramatic. And, there's a lot of people who are like, well, we don't want to talk. Why are we bringing this up? We don't want to take away from all the successes of President Trump and everything else. But as we always say, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We are multitaskers. There's no better multitasker than Donald Trump anyway. So we can do it all. We can have great trade deals and prosecutions of James Comey all at the same time. It's a miracle, isn't it, people? Yes, indeed. All right. Martini 3. This is Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on Newstalk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
When you talk about hating people, it's like that sounds a little unchristian, right? But you can hate grout. That's okay. We are absolving you of using that word to describe grout, which you have to clean all the time and everything else. It is a pain, and Rob Very knows that very well, having been in the remodeling business for as long as he has, ever since he was a little kid. STLBR.com at St. Louis STL Bath and Renovation. And so what Rob can do is set you up, lay on you some man-made cultured stone and natural stone, and they provide a very low maintenance and grout-free option for your next bathroom project. We specialize in you. That is Rob's message to you. And that is, we come to you. We will do whatever you want us to do, whether it be a remodel. Maybe you just want us to repaint, or maybe you just want us to touch this up or whatever. Totally gutted they can do as well, fully remodeled. And man, this cultured stone, natural stone, Rob just loves this stuff, and he loves how it looks in your home. And if you go to the website, stlbr.com, you'll see all kinds of examples of the kinds of work that he and his team do. They are very, very, they pay a lot of attention to making sure the job is done, meaning they don't come in on a Monday, disappear for the entire week, come back the following Monday, and you're just kind of in a tattered situation in your house with your bathroom all messed up. Get a hold of Rob and the team today by going to stlbr.com. Rob Very, a longtime friend of the show and a free common sense conservative radio. Grout free. That's the way we want to be at STL Bath and Renovation, stlbr.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Ready to upgrade your sleep and save big? At Snooze Mattress Company, save up to $725 on Serta, $600 on Stearns & Foster, and $1,350 off Puffy, plus 0% Wells Fargo financing. Then don't miss our grand opening celebration, Saturday, August 2nd from 10 to 2. We're giving away $30,000 in mattresses, including a $15,000 Tempur-Pedic. $5 mattresses, food, drinks, and prizes. Snooze now, party Saturday. If you don't snooze, you lose.
Oh, everything's kind of feeling old school these days. It looks like we're going back to the old days. And I'm talking about the old days of a resurgence of manufacturing where we focus on small businesses. Family run operations are thriving because of President Trump's economic policies. And so Schneider's True Value Hardware Store fits that mold right there in Old Town St. Peter's, family owned and operated for more than 100 years. In Old Town St. Peter's. Jerry Schneider is a great guy. He's a rock star in the hardware store business. He focuses on making sure that you are happy and fully served by his great staff and his sidekick there, Charlie. It's your hardware destination, one nail at a time. They are the authorized dealers of the steel products. You've probably seen them advertised quite a bit on TV because they are kind of the hot battery-operated home care tools and things like that. And they're the authorized dealer of the steel. They include sales, parts, and service there, wide range of tools, products, and especially expert advice, the kind of advice you sometimes are not going to get from the big box stores because people don't have time, or heaven forbid, you can't even find somebody. So sometimes that's just not a good thing, wandering around looking for somebody, and maybe they'll be crabby anyway. Not at Schneider's True Value Hardware Store, where you're going to have full service with a family legacy, more than 100 years in Old Town St. Peter's. Go to truevalue.com/Schneiders, truevalue.com/Schneiders.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is good for America. This is good for the American people. It's good for working families.
You will start seeing historic growth like we've never seen before.
This is a 100-year catastrophe.
There have been some 850 rescues.
Their base are increasingly illegals, criminals, and people who love criminals.
You plead the fifth usually when you have criminal liability.
There are always going to be issues that we disagree on.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Call me a joker, call me a fool. Right at this moment, I'm totally cool. Clear as a crystal, sharp as a knife. I feel like I'm in the prime of my life. Sometimes it feels like I'm going.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday to all of you and yours. Common Sense Radio. News Talk STL 101.9, 94.1, streaming all the time. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there, and super happy to be with you. So, as much as President Trump has really not wanted to talk about Epstein Island and all that other nonsense, and I don't blame him because we don't know anything. So, basically, let's let the hearings happen. I can't wait to hear what Maxwell has to say about all this after she was interviewed and everything else. So it's just kind of nice just to cool some jets here and figure it out. But we do have at least one moment where President Trump has said this about Epstein Island and invitations to it.
That's such old history. Very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. And of course, this is taking place in this grand ballroom overseas in Europe. All these European leaders are just sitting around. It's so embarrassing that they're not asking anything about consequential trade deals or peace deals or anything that really ultimately matters. I realize, obviously, child trafficking does matter, but in this particular situation, there's no there. And Bongino, of course, you probably are all aware of this already. He said that he saw things in the deep state investigation that just absolutely shocked even him. I don't think that that's necessarily related to the Epstein files or whatever, but I can't wait to hear what ultimately he's talking about. And I think there's so much more to come on this. And I believe as much as will come our way, I do believe that ultimately it's going to wind up not involving President Trump, but a ton of other people that will be interested in. I'm not at the point right now, people, where I am some kind of Luddite as it relates to technology. And I have always kind of resisted this because I think scientists are good for the country. I don't want to be one of those Neanderthals who, or Cro-Magnons, I should say. Isn't it true about, speaking of science, weren't Neanderthals smarter than Cro-Magnons? I do believe that came out when Joe Biden was calling us Neanderthals. And if I'm not mistaken, Neanderthals, through the history of science and Homo sapiens and all that kind of stuff, were apparently one of the smarter versions of the prehistoric human being. If I'm not mistaken, I could look it up, but I could Google it, AI it, or whatever. I'm starting to love that, though. I can ask any question about my plants or about anything that pops up. All right. So I still, though, think that scientists can be very, very damaging. As you know, the National Institutes of Health, all they have focused on, according to some documents, is DEI research. And so I think sometimes they can be exceedingly reckless. I think the COVID scandal, the COVID hoax was part of that. How many scientists wound up killing people by advocating for putting them on ventilators and everything else and coming up with all of these solutions that were not solutions? It's funny how the left calls us anti-science when, man, those people couldn't have been more anti-science in advocating, for instance, for masks. These cloth masks that didn't work, or spitballing over how it spread, or closing schools, closing restaurants, everything else. I'll never forget, it was in December, I think, of like 2021. I can't remember what it was, but Ethan was in town. And he and I went to dinner at a place in Clayton. And it was closed, but they were open outside in tents. They were open outside in tents, and it was in December because he was in for Christmas with heaters in the tents. And we were literally sitting like 2 feet away from another table. We were closer in that tent than we would have been had we had a booth at the restaurant or even sat at a normal table at the restaurant. This was St. Louis County, of course, and Crum Mouth Sam Page was reckless, and his scientists were stupid. And even though it was like Dr. Sam Page, remember him running again they put doctor on there like he knows anything about these diseases or anything. He's the anesthesiologist, for crying out loud. Dr. Sam Page. But anyway, we were sitting there and Ethan and I were like, man, this seems like if there really is a COVID problem and it's related to people sitting in restaurants, we're probably in more danger of catching or spreading or whatever COVID than we would have been had the restaurant been open. That was just ridiculous science. And so on down the line, scientists have proven themselves to have agendas, and man, even like Popular Mechanics and Scientific American are getting into politics and beyond. But this latest one is really something else. This is from a Politico article, and it says a team of researchers in California drew notoriety last year with an aborted experiment on a retired aircraft carrier that sought to test a machine for creating clouds. But behind the scenes, they were planning a much larger and potentially riskier study of saltwater spraying equipment that could eventually be used to dim the sun's rays. A multi-million-dollar project aimed at producing clouds over a stretch of ocean larger than Puerto Rico. Now, playing around with this kind of stuff is super dangerous because we all know that science is great. We looked at that with the development of the atomic bomb or the splitting of the atom and all that kind of stuff. And we knew back then that any kind of science, when in the wrong hands, could be used to hurt people. And we've seen that time and time again. The details outlined in funding requests, emails, texts, other records obtained by Politico raise new questions about a secretive, billionaire-backed initiative that oversaw last year's brief solar geoengineering experiment on the San Francisco Bay. So this is really crazy, and this is all under the guise, do I need to say it, or you want to go ahead and say it? Under the guise of fighting global warming, right? So again, the whole global warming thing is in itself political because the global warming and the green movement is based on not really science, but on an effort to control and manipulate our lives and everything else to follow through on their green agenda and getting rid of fossil fuels. They, for instance, ignore the science that shows that the Earth and its atmosphere and all that go along with it really wind up being cyclical. And you do remember, and I know this is something you've already heard, but I'll never forget when I was a kid, and my parents got Time magazine, and I think it was Time, or maybe it was Newsweek. It was one of the magazines, and this was in the 70s, and they talked about the coming ice age. I mean, what more do you need to see that these individuals really are just spitballing, and it's all tied to an agenda? So they offer a rare glimpse into the vast scope of research aimed at finding ways to counter the Earth's warming, work that has occurred outside public view. Now, let me ask you this, because I know some of you, especially as it's hotter than hell here in St. Louis, would love a clouder here and there, right? I get it. But imagine what dimming the sun's rays could do, for instance, to agriculture. Frankly, my garden and my poor tomatoes have not really thrived in this heat as much as watering and everything else. But the reality is that generally in a normal summer or spring or what have you, the sun is a valuable asset to crop growth and indeed feeding the world. So you get these people playing around with trying to block the sun's rays and things like that. They're not even thinking about what it could possibly do to people who need the sun. Or for that matter, to tell you the truth, sun itself is a vitamin when it hits you. A lot of people benefit greatly from the vitamin D provided by sunlight and everything else. But no, they don't care. They're just going to create some clouds, everything else, so they can say they staved off global warming. But at the same time, they don't care. Oh, we killed all kinds of crops that were being used to feed poor people. They don't really care about that. But there's the rub there, and that's what scientists are up to, and I don't really like it.
Sometimes I'm tired, sometimes I'm shocked, sometimes I don't know how much more I got.
All right, time to... It's bottoms up, people. Third martini, people. And it's a 3-martini lunch here at the Allman Report, News Talk STL, Common Sense Radio.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app. And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Carvin Hughes is the owner of Polytime, and he is a U.S. Marine. And I love the fact that it is a veteran-owned company. I appreciate the fact that Carvin supports free, common sense, conservative radio. And I love the fact that he's helping so many people right the ship when it comes to concrete leveling and dealing with all kinds of concrete problems. There's no job too big or too small. It's polyjacking. It's a new frontier. It's a new technology. And it's a longer lasting solution compared to mud jacking, which I'm sure you've heard of. And that's designed, like, for instance, if you've got a cattywampus patio, or you've got a sidewalk, or you've got a driveway, or you have some steps at the house or whatever that kind of need to be righted and taken care of, and you want a long-lasting solution, and you want one that's going to get it done at a great price for you. It's called polyjacking, and Polytime is who will bring it to you. It's polytime.com. It's polytime.com. As a real estate agent, I have been to many homes, and I've seen what kind of leveling could be used here, what kind of leveling could be used there. And it's also just a pain to have a patio that is just kind of sinking into the ground. That can all be fixed very, very easily and with a long-lasting solution known as polyjacking. So give Carvin a call. Go to itspolytime.com. Check out the number there. Thank him for supporting free, common sense, conservative radio. It's polytime.com.
Colombo and Company.
More and more evidence regarding Russiagate coming out that Tulsi Gabbard says proves Obama was at the center of everything. We'll get you the latest Thursday, plus Mo Rep Justin Sparks and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Line the room. You find a drink and drain the glass as fast as you can think to. The cheap perfume. In a room of people watching it intoxicate you. They start to play. Then they start to play. He shakes the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome
Stings your ears, but this is what we trade our hearing for. The crowd stands still.
to Common Sense Radio, people. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you on this Monday. I'm listening to like what's going to be happening tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 99 degrees. I'll get through it. Remember we were complaining about how cold it was? It's just called extremes, people. It's how it goes. You know, Harry Enton He's over there at CNN. And good old Harry is the son-in-law of Neil Sedaka, as you've learned from my show before. I don't know why that's relevant. I just think it's a little cool factoid, those of you who even know who Neil Sedaka is. But he's the son-in-law of Neil Sedaka. He's on CNN, and he's a guy who usually is the one who turns the anchor's ashen face with a fact enema that he provides to them pretty much on a regular basis. And it usually involves the poll numbers surrounding President Trump and the Republican Party and whatever. So these guys are on this show, and the Abby Phillips show, which actually is pretty entertaining. I mean, Scott Jennings is usually on there, whatever, but they have a whole team of people. I saw the other day Jeff Flake on there. You know, that pansy senator, the guy who just couldn't tolerate President Trump. These guys all look like such wusses. You know, he's in that category with Mitt Romney and all the rest of them who just President Trump and his alpha male personality was just too much for all the betas out there. Anyway, this is an exchange between Jamel Hill, who is a cast-off from ESPN, who is talking about, because I love it when the left always starts to talk about all the Trump supporters who were jumping ship over Epstein, whatever else, and that absolutely isn't true. I think Trump supporters are being, and many of them are just being discerning and want to ask questions about what's going on. They don't want certainly anything, in my opinion, to come out that's going to negatively reflect on the guy they helped get elected, everything else. And so at the same time, it's not as much ship jumping as it is looking out for the brand, you know, which is okay with me. I just think that sometimes we just talk and move on to conversations when we don't know anything, and then that becomes dartboard broadcasting. Jamel Hill is trying to claim that Trump supporters are just leaving, that they're no longer on board with President Trump.
This is the downside of the strategy that he has imported that got him elected. His entire strategy with the Epstein files was to try to give people these strong.
I mean, these are people who never talked about the Epstein files before. And they didn't talk about them before because they knew that the Epstein files would be directly tied to Bill Clinton. So they never talked about it, but now they're really super interested in the whole thing. So now they care about child sex trafficking, apparently.
Impression that this was Bill Clinton, this was Democrats, this was something that they were trying to hide. And now that this is all turned on him, he won't be able to convince his base that this is a transparent investigation at all. Like, I don't know what it would take for them to believe that there's no cover.
Jamel, are you talking about me? Because I'll speak for myself, thank you, as will many other individuals. And so, again, this is another example of a left-wing person engaging in a level of wishful thinking about how Trump supporters all feel. Never mind that, again, it's not that they don't care about child sex trafficking, but I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people riding around in traffic right now, having lunch, listening at work, whatever, really care about a lot more than the Epstein files. It probably is about 10th on their list of things that they care about, and 10th on a list of things that matter to them at this point in terms of the Trump administration, the future of this country, and what is going on. So it's kind of like one of these boutique issues that a lot of conservatives like to deal with because it provides a lot of different fodder and that kind of thing. And it provides a level of, oh, look, I'm fair. You know, I'm just just call it as I see it. I get it. But for the most part, most people don't care. But anyway, Harry Enton is going to tell Jamel Hill this in just a few here.
I mean, you've convinced a lot of these people. Part of your whole spiel is that the government isn't to be trusted. And then you're asking these same group of people to suddenly trust that this was all on the up and up. There is no list, that everything is as it appears, and they're just not going to buy it. And what's always interesting to me is like what it takes people to get off the Trump train. It's not the xenophobia. It's not the racism. It's not the bigotry. It is.
And this is so hard because the xenophobia, the racism, and the bigotry that they were trying to peddle in the 2024 election, and obviously back in the 2016 election, never landed anywhere because nobody believed it. And not only did no one believe it, but everything that President Trump was doing absolutely blew that position out of the water. There was no indication that President Trump is a xenophobe, unless, of course, the definition of xenophobia is not wanting rapists, murderers, and other illegal aliens to come into the country. That's not xenophobia. And here's a guy who has traveled all over the world to make things better for people outside of the U.S. That's totally not xenophobia. Jamel Hill isn't very intelligent, so it doesn't surprise me that she's pulling all that. And also the racism part, there's zero evidence of any racism coming out of President Trump or even his policies. And in fact, the people that have benefited greatly from President Trump's policies are indeed minorities. Minorities were the first ones to feel the effects of the open borders and the plot on the part of the Uniparty to destroy the middle class through the illegal alien human trafficking. Minorities were the first ones to feel the effects of it.
But are they off the Trump train? I mean, I think this is the part of what Charlotte is saying that I'm not so sure. Because I think that they really don't want to be off the Trump train. They want to be on the Trump train. They just want Trump to get in line with them on this issue.
I think that's exactly right, Abby. Look, I think for Trump, it does feel a little bit like the lady doth protest a little too much, right? But when it comes to his approval rating with Republicans, it's basically as solid as it ever was. You know, you put it up on the graphic before where you saw the smallest decline was among Republicans. If you look at the average of polls, his approval rating with Republicans, still at about 90%. Of course, those same Republicans say they are dissatisfied with the amount of information that's been released so far. Everyone is...
Meaning we can still love Trump, love his policies and everything else, and there are people who still cannot be satisfied. So there's a big difference, I mean, between questioning transparency and doing all this kind of stuff and being off the Trump train, which is why it'd be unwise. I mean, since I clearly don't care about it as much as some other people do, but I'd never say, you're off the Trump, you're off the Trump train. It's like, no, I get it. Those of us who support President Trump and everything else and our conservatives are mature enough to understand that there are mixed views within the family. We understand conflict, and we see that. And one of the great things about us, too, is that we don't absolutely have to be right all the time. Our egos aren't bruised when somebody disagrees with us or whatever else. Our self-worth is not tied into our righteousness the way it is with so many people on the left, which is kind of a mental disorder, but that's how it goes.
Dissatisfied with the amount of information that's been released so far with concern to the Epstein files. Everyone thinks that there's something more going on there, but then making that leap to all of a sudden that his base is moving away from him, at least at this particular point in the polling data, we're not seeing it.
You're not seeing it. And in fact, I mean, Carrie Enton in this mixed company is being is bearing the headline a little bit, because he's been standing up there on CNN saying these poll numbers show President Trump is absolutely just amazing, and it's maybe shocking to people, but again, that's a sign that the Trump base are mature individuals. They're people who, I don't know, I wish there were more information, but man, do I love all that he's doing with the economy and beyond. You know, so yeah, believe it or not, we can be in some cases just a little bit different, not necessarily always on the same path with each other, and that's okay. And again, when I say I really don't care about it as much as others, I'm not saying those other people are less than me, dumber than me, or more disloyal than me. I'm just saying I really don't care that much about what's going on. I care about child trafficking. I hope that we get to the bottom of whatever's going on. I can pretty much surely tell you Trump has nothing to do with child sex trafficking. And I can pretty much tell you that Pam Bondi's not a liar. But if you have questions about that, that's all right. It's kind of like one of those things. I just wish that we could get to the bottom of it, and eventually I think we will. Meanwhile, Chuck Todd is not very happy that the Democrats have decided they were going to promote Hunter Biden as their guy. And this is...
Hunter Biden. I have no interest in what he has to say.
Yeah. He's like, why are you people promoting the words of Hunter Biden? Especially when it is these expletive-filled rants coming from a clearly ate-up drug addict. Like, how are you in bed with him now? I mean, the list of people that the Democrats and the left have invested in: murderers, wife beaters, liars, traitors, Hunter Biden. And it's like you have no future. Not that I really care one way or another. I don't care about that either. All right. That's the story this Monday on the Allman Report News Talk STL. Ashlyn, thank you so much for everything. And Tony Colombo. And Colombo and Company continues the hit parade here on live, local, late breaking, and pretty darn awesome News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
Love spending time outdoors, but hate the bugs? This year's tick problem is worse than ever. Don't let mosquitoes, ticks, gnats, and chiggers ruin your family fun. Mosquito Joe delivers effective pest control that's guaranteed to protect your family and pets. No long-term contract, and we handle all the scheduling for you. Mosquito Joe is winning the battle against bugs. Get your free estimate today by calling 1-855-ASK-A-JOE. That's 1-855-ASK-A-JOE. Mosquito Joe, we make the outdoors fun again.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump announces a new, shorter deadline for Russian President Putin to reach a deal to end its war in Ukraine.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but We just don't see any progress being made.